Commander Lyra Blackwood stood at the helm of humanity's most classified achievement, her reflection ghosting across the quantum glass viewport of the TNS chronosphere. The experimental vessel hummed with an otherworldly resonance, the song of fractured time itself. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying the weight of Earth's last hope. Lieutenant Marcus Rivera's fingers danced across his console. "Temporal core stable at 97%, Commander. The Conclave fleet remains unaware of our presence." Lyra allowed herself a small smile. After 3 years of development in the underground facilities of Titan, the chronosphere was about to make its first appearance before the very beings who had dismissed humanity as temporal primitives. The bridge crew worked in focused silence, Rivera at tactical, Dr. Jasmine Patel monitoring the temporal mathematics, and First Officer Derek Conrad maintaining their stealth position behind the moon of Proxima. They were an unlikely group, the best Earth had to offer, chosen not for their conformity to military protocol, but for their ability to think beyond conventional physics. "Incoming transmission from Conclave Command," announced Communications Officer Raj Sharma, his dark eyes narrowing at the message. "They're laughing at our absence, Commander." "Put it through," Lyra ordered, straightening her midnight blue uniform. The holographic projection materialized, revealing the imposing figure of High Counselor Varric Than. His crystalline body structure, typical of the silicon-based Novara species, sparkled with undisguised amusement. "How unsurprising," Than's voice reverberated through the bridge. "The humans have failed to appear for their own demonstration. Perhaps they finally realized the futility of their temporal theories." The Galactic Conclave had demanded this demonstration after learning of Earth's research into temporal mechanics. They expected failure. They wanted failure. What they didn't expect was that humanity had already succeeded. Dr. Patel's console emitted a soft chime. "Commander, temporal field calculations complete. We can initiate the protocol at your command." Lyra's hand rested on the neural interface panel of her command chair. The chronosphere wasn't just a ship. It was an extension of human will, designed to translate thought into temporal manipulation. "Send our response, Officer Sharma. 3 words only. Watch the time." The bridge crew shared knowing glances as Lyra activated the neural link. The sensation was always strange, like diving into a pool of liquid mathematics. Through the interface, she could feel the quantum singularity at the heart of the ship, its power waiting to be shaped. "Temporal fold in 3, she announced, her consciousness merging with the ship's systems. 2, 1. The universe blinked. To the Conclave fleet, it must have seemed like reality itself had hiccuped. One moment, space was empty. The next, the chronosphere appeared simultaneously in 12 different positions around their formation, each image equally solid, equally real. "By the eternal stars," Than's voice had lost its mockery. "What trickery is this?" "No trickery, Counselor," Lyra replied, feeling the strain of maintaining multiple temporal signatures. "Humanity has simply learned to treat time as it truly is, a dimension to be shaped." Through the neural link, she could sense each version of the chronosphere, each one representing a different potential moment in time, all existing simultaneously. It was humanity's greatest breakthrough, the ability to operate in multiple temporal states at once. Dr. Patel's voice cut through Lyra's concentration. "Commander, temporal stability at 82%. We need to converge soon." "Understood," Lyra addressed the stunned counselor. "Your species sees time as a river flowing in one direction. We see it as an ocean, with currents, depths, and waves to be navigated." To demonstrate her point, she commanded the chronosphere to perform what they had dubbed the temporal spiral. The 12 instances of the ship began to move in perfect synchronization. Each one phase shifted slightly out of time with the others. To the conclave observers, it would appear as if reality itself was folding around the human vessel. First Officer Conrad monitored the conclave fleet's reactions. "They're powering weapons, Commander. Looks like we got their attention." "Perfect." Lyra allowed herself a predatory smile. This was the moment to show them why humanity should never have been underestimated. Lieutenant Rivera, execute pattern Omega. Let's show them what temporal combat really looks like. The chronosphere's temporal drive pulsed. In an instant, the ship appeared to split into three distinct battle formations. The first formation engaged the Conclave's forward ships, its weapons systems operating in accelerated time, appearing to fire impossibly fast. The second formation moved in reverse time, causing enemy shots to miss before they were even fired. The third maintained position in normal time, coordinating the assault. Temporal stability at 75%, Dr. Patel reported, her voice tense but controlled. The matrix is holding. High Counselor Than's crystalline face showed an emotion Lyra had never seen in a Novara before. Fear. This is impossible. You cannot manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe like this. Impossible? Lyra felt the neural interface humming with power. Humanity has spent centuries being told what was impossible, being dismissed as primitive, being laughed at. She paused, watching as the conclave ships began to retreat. We decided to stop listening. The demonstration lasted exactly 7 minutes. When it was over, not a single conclave ship had managed to land a hit on the chronosphere, while every target drone they had deployed had been destroyed with surgical precision. As the temporal instances merged back into a single timeline, Lyra felt the familiar disorientation of temporal convergence. The neural interface disengaged, leaving her with a splitting headache and a sense of deep satisfaction. Message from the Conclave flagship, Sharma announced, trying to hide his grin. There, requesting an immediate diplomatic conference. How unsurprising, Lyra echoed Than's earlier mockery. Send our response, we'll be there in no time. The bridge erupted in tired laughter, the release of years of tension and preparation. They had done it. Humanity had proven itself not just equal to the galactic community, but capable of reshaping its very foundations. As the chronosphere set course for the diplomatic coordinates, Lyra looked at her crew with pride. This was just the beginning. They had changed the rules of space, time, and politics in a single demonstration. The real question now was, what would the Conclave do with this new reality? The answer would come sooner than any of them expected, and it would test not just the chronosphere's capabilities, but the very limits of human ingenuity and courage. 3 weeks after the Conclave demonstration, the chronosphere drifted in the shadow of a gas giant, its temporal core thrumming with restrained power. Commander Lyra Blackwood studied the holographic display showing the approach of the Hellion Empire's war fleet, 30 vessels strong, their plasma drives leaving trails of artificial sunfire in their wake. They're not even trying to hide their approach, First Officer Conrad observed, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical display. The Hellions want us to see them coming. Of course they do, Lyra replied, her fingers drumming against her command chair. Our demonstration rattled the Conclave, but the Hellions see it as a challenge. They've spent millennia believing their solar-based technology makes them invincible. Dr. Patel's voice carried from her station, where complex temporal equations scrolled across multiple screens. Commander, I've finished analyzing their attack patterns from previous engagements. The Hellions rely heavily on their ability to harness stellar energy. They've never faced an enemy that could manipulate time itself. That's about to change, Lieutenant Rivera added, his tactical display showing multiple combat scenarios. Question is, which timeline do we want to make reality? The bridge fell silent as a transmission cut through their deliberations. The holographic projector flickered to life, revealing Supreme Solar Admiral Nyxus of the Hellion Empire. Unlike the crystalline Novarae, the Hellions were beings of pure energy contained within ornate metallic shells, their forms crackling with barely contained power. TNS Chronosphere, Nyxus's voice resonated with artificial harmonics. Your temporal parlor tricks may have impressed the bureaucrats of the Conclave, but the Hellion Empire is not so easily deceived. Surrender your vessel and its technology, or face annihilation. Lyra stood, facing the hologram with calculated calm. Admiral Nyxus, we have no quarrel with the Hellion Empire. But if you insist on this confrontation, you should know that what the Conclave witnessed was merely a demonstration. You're about to see what the chronosphere can really do. You dare threaten, Nyxis began, but Lyra cut the transmission with a gesture. Officer Sharma, send combat protocols to all sections. Dr. Patel, begin temporal field calculations. Lieutenant Rivera, weapons hot. First Officer Conrad, coordinate damage control teams. Her orders came rapid fire as she settled into the neural interface chair. Let's show them why picking a fight with humanity was their biggest mistake. The neural link engaged, and Lyra's consciousness expanded to encompass the chronosphere systems. Through it, she could feel time itself flowing around the ship like currents in an ocean of possibility. The Hellion fleet launched their first attack, a coordinated barrage of solar torpedoes, each containing the concentrated energy of a small star. In normal spacetime, they would have been devastating. But this wasn't normal spacetime. Temporal fold initiating, Dr. Patel announced, her hands flying over her console. Multiple variance points established. The chronosphere split into 5 temporal instances, each operating in a different time stream. The solar torpedoes passed harmlessly through 4 of them, temporal ghosts that existed seconds out of phase with the present. The 5th instance, the only one existing in the current moment, was already moving to counterattack. Target their command ship, Lyra ordered through the neural link. Show them what happens when temporal mechanics meets human ingenuity. Lieutenant Rivera's tactical systems came alive. The chronosphere's weapons were unique, designed to exploit the temporal distortions they created. Each shot existed in multiple moments simultaneously, making them nearly impossible to evade. The first volley caught the Hellions completely off guard. Their shields, designed to withstand the power of stars, proved useless against weapons that struck from multiple points in time at once. First blood to us, Conrad reported, but his satisfaction was short-lived. They're adapting their tactics, multiple attack vectors trying to saturate our temporal field. The Hellion fleet split into 3 groups, each attacking from a different direction. Their energy weapons turned space itself into a lethal geometry of light and heat. Lyra felt sweat beating on her forehead as she coordinated the chronosphere's temporal instances. Dr. Patel, prepare for a temporal cascade. Lieutenant Rivera, pattern Delta 7. Commander, Dr. Patel's voice carried a note of warning. A cascade of that magnitude could destabilize the local spacetime fabric. Better than letting the Hellions destroy us, Lyra responded. Through the neural link, she could feel the quantum singularity at the ship's heart pulse with growing power. Execute cascade on my mark. The Hellion fleet closed in, their weapons charging for a final, overwhelming barrage. Supreme Solar Admiral Nyxis's voice boomed across all frequencies. Your temporal sorcery ends now. Mark. Time shattered. The chronosphere didn't just split into multiple instances. It created a temporal maelstrom. Dozens of versions of the ship existed simultaneously, each operating a fraction of a second apart from the others. To the Hellions, it must have looked like reality itself was fracturing around their fleet. Temporal stability at 45%, Dr. Patel reported, her voice tense. We can't maintain this for long. We won't need to, Lyra assured her. Through the neural interface, she coordinated the attacks of each temporal instance. The chronosphere struck from every possible angle, from multiple points in time, its weapons finding gaps in the Hellions' defenses that existed for mere microseconds. One by one, the Hellion ships found themselves trapped in temporal eddies, their mighty engines useless against an enemy that could attack them before they even raised their shields. Within minutes, half their fleet was disabled. Supreme Solar Admiral Nyxis's flagship made a final, desperate attempt to ram the chronosphere. It was like trying to ram a ghost. The ship simply shifted through another temporal phase, letting the massive Hellion vessel pass harmlessly through its location. Signal from the Hellion flagship, Sharma announced. There, requesting terms of surrender. Lyra allowed the temporal instances to converge, bringing the chronosphere back to a single timeline. Her head pounded from the neural interface strain, but satisfaction outweighed the discomfort. Put me through to Admiral Nyxis, she ordered, standing despite her exhaustion. The hologram appeared, showing the Hellion leader's energy form flickering with what might have been rage or fear. "Your empire prides itself on harnessing the power of stars," Lyra stated, her voice steady. "But humanity has learned to harness time itself. Remember this day, Admiral. Remember what happened when you underestimated us." As the Hellion fleet retreated in disgrace, First Officer Conrad approached Lyra's chair. "That was impressive, Commander, but you know they won't be the last to challenge us." "No," Lyra agreed, watching the defeated ships limp away. "But each battle teaches us more about what the chronosphere can do, and I have a feeling we're going to need every advantage we can get." Dr. Patel's console suddenly emitted a series of urgent alerts. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual temporal readings, the cascade." It did something we didn't expect. There's a growing temporal anomaly in the sector. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. They had won the battle, but perhaps they had changed more than they intended. The true consequences of their actions were just beginning to unfold. The temporal anomaly pulsed like a wounded star on Dr. Patel's monitors, its presence a constant reminder of the chronosphere's recent battle with the Hellion fleet. Commander Lyra Blackwood studied the shifting patterns with growing concern, her reflection ghosting across the quantum glass display. "It's growing," Dr. Patel said, her usual confidence wavering. "The temporal cascade we triggered has created something unprecedented, a region where time itself is becoming unstable." First Officer Conrad leaned against his station, arms crossed. "And now every major power in the galaxy is demanding access to our temporal technology. The Conclave's diplomatic channels are flooded with accusations that we're destabilizing the fabric of space-time." "They're not entirely wrong," Lyra admitted, rubbing her temples. The neural interface headaches had been getting worse since the battle. "Lieutenant Rivera, status of the Hellion border." "Quiet," Rivera reported from Tactical. "Too quiet. Our intelligence suggests they're building something big, but their shipyards are under complete blackout." Officer Sharma's console suddenly lit up with urgent signals. "Commander, priority transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Joe requests immediate conference." The holographic projector hummed to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Helena Joe, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun. "Commander Blackwood, the situation has become critical. The Conclave is convening an emergency session to discuss the temporal anomaly. They're calling for the immediate decommissioning of all temporal technology." Lyra felt her jaw tighten. "With respect, Admiral, that's not going to happen. The chronosphere is humanity's only defense against powers like the Hellion Empire." "I agree," Joe's hologram flickered slightly. "But there's more. We've detected unusual energy signatures within the chronosphere systems. Someone may have tampered with." The transmission cut off abruptly. At the same instant, the ship's lights dimmed, and a low vibration ran through the deck plates. "Report," Lyra snapped, already moving toward her neural interface chair. "Power fluctuations throughout the ship," Rivera announced, his fingers dancing across his console. "Temporal core showing irregular patterns. This isn't normal wear and tear, Commander. This looks like sabotage." Before Lyra could respond, Dr. Patel's voice cut through the tension. "Commander, the temporal anomaly is reacting to the power fluctuations. It's resonating with our core somehow." The neural interface activated with a familiar tingle as Lyra connected to the ship systems. Through the link, she could feel the discord in the temporal core, like a symphony playing out of tune. "Begin emergency shutdown procedures," she ordered. "Officer Sharma, lock down all sensitive areas. First Officer Conrad, I want security teams." A new alarm blared through the bridge. "Unauthorized access in engineering," Rivera reported. "Someone's trying to override the temporal core containment protocols." Lyra's mind raced through the neural link, scanning systems and security feeds. There, a shadow moving through engineering, working with suspicious familiarity with their systems. "Security teams to engineering," she commanded. "Dr. Patel with me. The rest of you maintain bridge positions and prepare for emergency temporal core shutdown." The trip to engineering was tense. with security teams converging from multiple directions. Through the neural link, Lyra could feel the temporal core's instability growing, its rhythm becoming more erratic with each passing moment. They found engineering in chaos. Warning lights flashed across every console, and the temporal core's housing pulsed with an angry red glow. Standing at the main control panel was a figure Lyra recognized, Lieutenant James Ward, one of their temporal engineering specialists. "Step away from the console, Lieutenant," Lyra ordered, her voice hard as steel. Ward turned, his face twisted in a bitter smile. "You don't understand what you've done, Commander. The temporal anomaly you created. It's not just a disruption in space-time. It's a door." "A door to what?" Dr. Patel asked, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her caution. "To them," Ward's eyes held a fanatic gleam. "The predecessors, the race that first mastered temporal mechanics. They've been watching us, waiting for someone to crack the boundaries of time, and now they're ready to return." The temporal core's pulse quickened, and through the neural link, Lyra felt something alien trying to access their systems. The anomaly they'd created was growing, reaching out like a living thing. "Security, take him," Lyra ordered, but Ward wasn't finished. "You can't stop it," he laughed. "The resonance pattern is already established, the predecessors will." His words cut off as Dr. Patel lunged past the security team, her hands flying over the control panel. "Commander, if I can modify the core's frequency, I might be able to disrupt whatever he's trying to do." Lyra joined her at the console, her neural link providing direct access to the temporal core systems. Together, they raced against time itself, trying to prevent whatever Ward had set in motion. The ship shuddered as the temporal anomaly pulsed stronger, its energy somehow reaching across space to touch the chronosphere. Through the neural interface, Lyra could feel patterns emerging in the chaos, complex mathematical sequences that seemed to form and dissolve like waves on a beach. There, Dr. Patel's fingers danced across the final commands, initiating emergency temporal pulse. Now. The chronosphere's core flared with blinding light. For a moment, Lyra felt her consciousness stretched across multiple timelines, catching glimpses of possible futures, some glorious, others terrifying. Then reality snapped back into focus. Warning lights faded to normal status indicators. The temporal core's rhythm steadied, but the anomaly remained, though its pattern had changed. "We've stabilized the core," Dr. Patel reported, wiping sweat from her forehead. "But the anomaly, it's different now, more structured, almost like it's been programmed." Ward laughed from where security held him. "You haven't stopped anything. You've just made it easier for them to find us. The predecessors left their mark on time itself, and now we've shown them we're ready to follow in their footsteps." Lyra stared at the temporal core's housing, its steady pulse now holding new meaning. "Get him to the brig. Dr. Patel, I want a full analysis of whatever he did to our systems. And someone get me Admiral Joe back on comms." "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice was hesitant. "What if he's right? What if we've attracted the attention of something we're not ready to face?" Lyra thought of the glimpses she'd seen through the neural link, the possibilities branching out before them like paths in a vast forest. "Then we'll face it together. Humanity didn't come this far to back down now." As they worked to secure the ship and analyze the changes to the temporal anomaly, Lyra couldn't shake the feeling that Ward's actions had set something in motion, something that would force them to confront not just the politics of the present, but the legacy of a civilization that had mastered time itself. The true test of the chronosphere and its crew was just beginning. The Hellion border loomed before the chronosphere like a curtain of fire. Commander Lyra Blackwood stood at her neural interface station, watching the tactical display as it tracked hundreds of automated defense platforms, each one programmed to destroy any vessel that crossed the boundary. "The prisoner is ready for questioning, Commander," First Officer Conrad reported, his voice tight with concern. "Though I'm not sure we can trust anything Ward tells us." "We don't have a choice," Lyra replied, turning to Dr. Patel. "What's the status of the temporal anomaly?" Dr. Patel's hands moved across her console, bringing up a complex holographic model. It's evolving. The patterns we detected after Ward's sabotage attempt are becoming more organized. They're forming what appears to be a temporal beacon, broadcasting through multiple dimensions of time. And the Hellions are responding, Lieutenant Rivera added from Tactical. Their shipyards have gone from blackout to maximum activity. Whatever they're building, it's nearly complete. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. Officer Sharma, alert security. We're going to have a chat with our guest. The brig was kept at low temperature, a precaution against Ward's potential supporters. The former lieutenant sat in his cell, looking oddly peaceful despite his situation. The anomaly is broadcasting, Lyra stated without preamble. You're going to tell us what the predecessors are planning. Ward smiled, the expression never reaching his eyes. They're not planning, Commander. They're returning. The Hellions' new weapon. It's based on predecessor technology they discovered in their home system, but they don't understand what they've found. And you do, Dr. Patel challenged, stepping forward with a data pad. I understand enough. Ward leaned forward. The predecessors didn't just master temporal mechanics, they transcended it. But their experiments created rifts in space-time. They sealed themselves away in a temporal pocket universe, leaving behind beacons for those who might be worthy to follow. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. The anomaly we created during the Hellion battle was the key they've been waiting for, Ward finished. Human temporal technology, Hellion solar engineering, and predecessor artifacts, all converging at the perfect moment. Before Lyra could respond, Officer Sharma's voice came through the intercom. Commander, multiple temporal distortions detected at the Hellion border. They're launching something massive. Show me, Lyra ordered, rushing back to the bridge with Dr. Patel close behind. The tactical display revealed a sight that made even the veteran crew fall silent. A vessel was emerging from the Hellion shipyards, if it could be called a vessel. It was more like an artificial sun, its surface crackling with both solar energy and temporal distortions. By all the stars, Rivera whispered. They've built a temporal solar hybrid drive. They're trying to replicate our technology. No, Dr. Patel's voice was filled with horror as she studied the readings. They're trying to replicate predecessor technology, the temporal signatures. They're identical to the patterns in our anomaly. The massive Hellion vessel pulsed, sending waves of temporal energy rippling through space. Each wave caused the anomaly to grow stronger, more focused. They're going to tear a hole in space-time, Dr. Patel announced. The resonance between their ship and the anomaly, it's creating a feedback loop if we don't stop them. We'll do more than stop them, Lyra declared, settling into her neural interface chair. Rivera, plot an intercept course. Dr. Patel, begin temporal core calculations. We're going to show them what real temporal engineering looks like. The chronosphere surged forward, its temporal drive humming with power. But as they approached the Hellion border, something unexpected happened. The anomaly pulsed with blinding intensity, and reality shifted. Through the neural interface, Lyra felt the change immediately. The space around them was the same, but different, like seeing a familiar room through a warped lens. Multiple temporal signatures detected, Rivera reported, his console blazing with alerts. The fabric of spacetime is folding in on itself. Dr. Patel's voice cut through the chaos. Commander, these readings, we're not just seeing different points in time. We're seeing different timelines entirely. The Hellion's weapon isn't just breaking through time, it's breaking through to parallel realities. The massive Hellion vessel loomed before them, its hybrid drive creating a maelstrom of temporal energy. But beyond it, visible through the distortions in space-time, Lyra could see something else. Structures of impossible geometry floating in the void between realities. Predecessor artifacts, she breathed. Their sealed dimension is bleeding through. Commander, First Officer Conrad's voice was urgent. We have to make a decision if we engage the Hellions now. We might make things worse, Dr. Patel finished. But if we don't, their weapon could tear apart the boundaries between all possible timelines. Lyra's hands tightened on her command chair. Through the neural interface, she could feel the chronosphere's temporal core resonating with both the Hellion weapon and the ancient predecessor artifacts. They were standing at a crossroads of time itself, and their next action would determine the fate of not just their universe, but countless others. "Dr. Patel," she said finally, "prepare the temporal core for maximum output. If we're going to face the predecessors, we're going to do it on our terms." As the crew prepared for what might be their final battle, Lyra couldn't help but wonder. Had humanity's mastery of time brought them to this point, or had they been guided here all along? The answer, she suspected, lay somewhere in the temporal storm that was about to engulf them all. The void between realities shimmered with temporal energy as the chronosphere faced down both the massive Hellion weapon and the emerging artifacts of the predecessors. Commander Lyra Blackwood's consciousness stretched through the neural interface, feeling the vibrations of multiple timelines converging around them. "Temporal core at maximum capacity," Dr. Patel reported, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "Whatever we're going to do, Commander, we need to do it now." Through the quantum glass viewport, reality itself seemed to be cracking. The Hellion vessel's hybrid drive pulsed with increasing intensity, each wave pulling more predecessor artifacts through the weakening barriers between dimensions. "Lieutenant Rivera, status of the Hellion weapon," Lyra demanded, her mind racing through possible strategies through the neural link. "Their temporal field is unstable," Rivera responded, his tactical display a storm of warning indicators. "They can't control the power they're channeling if that hybrid drive collapses." "It'll take half the galaxy with it," First Officer Conrad finished grimly. Officer Sharma's console suddenly erupted with signals. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions," from everywhere. The Conclave, Earth Command, even the Hellions. The temporal distortions are affecting all subspace communications. But among the cascade of signals, one stood out. A pattern that resonated with the chronosphere's temporal core in a way that made Lyra's breath catch. "Dr. Patel," she called, "are you seeing this?" "Yes," the scientist's fingers flew across her console. It's a temporal language. The predecessors aren't just returning, they're trying to communicate." The patterns grew stronger, more complex, flowing through the neural interface like a river of pure mathematics. Through it, Lyra began to understand. The predecessors hadn't sealed themselves away out of fear or ambition. They had become guardians of time itself, maintaining the boundaries between realities that their experiments had nearly destroyed. "The Hellion's weapon," she realized aloud. "It's not just breaking through time, it's breaking their containment protocols." As if in response to her words, the massive Hellion vessel shuddered, its hybrid drive flaring with uncontrolled power. Streams of temporal energy began to arc between it and the nearest predecessor artifacts, creating a web of causality that threatened to entangle everything in its path. "Commander," Dr. Patel's voice carried both fear and awe, "the temporal core. It's receiving something. A sequence, but it's like nothing we've ever seen before." Through the neural interface, Lyra felt it too, a cascade of information flowing directly from the predecessor artifacts. Not just technical data, but understanding, the true nature of time, the responsibility of wielding it, and the price of failure. "They're not trying to stop us," she breathed. "They're trying to teach us." The bridge crew watched in amazement as new displays appeared on their consoles, showing temporal mechanics that made their most advanced theories look like child's play. "The Hellions," Rivera reported suddenly, "their weapons containment is failing. Temporal core collapse in 3 minutes." Lyra's mind raced through the newly received knowledge, seeing possibilities that would have been unimaginable hours ago. "Dr. Patel, prepare to modify our temporal field according to the new parameters. Lieutenant Rivera, plot an intercept course with the Hellion vessel." "Commander," Conrad objected, "if we get too close when that thing collapses." "We won't let it collapse," Lyra cut him off. "The predecessors didn't just give us knowledge, they gave us a choice. We can either watch reality tear itself apart, or we can prove we're ready for the responsibility they once carried." Through the neural interface, Lyra began implementing the predecessor protocols. feeling the chronosphere's temporal core adapt to patterns that had last been used eons ago. The ship's conventional shields fell away, replaced by layers of temporal protection that existed in multiple states simultaneously. "Temporal field reconfigured," Dr. Patel announced. "Ready on your mark, Commander." "Take us in." The chronosphere glided forward, its new temporal shields parting the chaos like a blade through water. As they approached the failing Hellion weapon, Lyra could feel the tensions in space-time, the places where reality had been stretched too thin. "Begin temporal inversion," she ordered, channeling power through systems that humanity had never dreamed of until this moment. "We're going to fold their temporal field back on itself, contain the collapse." The chronosphere's temporal core pulsed with newfound strength, its energy reaching out to encompass the massive Hellion vessel. Through the neural interface, Lyra guided the process with precision born of both human intuition and predecessor knowledge. Reality buckled and twisted around them as the temporal energies converged. For a moment that stretched into eternity, the chronosphere became a nexus point between all possible timelines, past, present, future, and parallel dimensions flowing together in a singular instant of infinite possibility. Then, with a flash that briefly outshone the local sun, the Hellion weapon's temporal field collapsed inward instead of outward. The hybrid drive went dark, its threatening pulse replaced by blessed silence. "Temporal containment successful," Dr. Patel reported, her voice filled with wonder. "The space-time rifts are healing themselves. The predecessor artifacts are returning to their dimension." "The Hellion crew?" Lyra asked, though she already knew the answer through the neural interface. "Alive," Rivera confirmed. "Their ship is damaged but stable. They're requesting immediate surrender." As the crisis subsided, Lyra felt the weight of what they had accomplished and what they had become. The chronosphere was no longer just humanity's greatest achievement. It was now a bridge between the present and a legacy left behind by those who had first mastered time itself. "Officer Sharma," she ordered, "send word to Earth Command and the Conclave. Tell them—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Tell them that humanity is ready to take its place as guardians of time, and we're going to need their help to do it right." The predecessor artifacts had nearly vanished now, returning to their pocket dimension. But they left behind more than just knowledge. They left a promise that when humanity was truly ready, they would return not as distant teachers, but as equals. As the chronosphere set course for Earth, Lyra looked at her crew, humans who had faced the impossible and emerged transformed. They had started this journey seeking to prove humanity's worth to the galaxy. They had ended it by proving something far more important: that wisdom could temper power, that responsibility could guide ambition, and that time itself was not a weapon to be wielded, but a trust to be protected. The temporal storms had passed, but their journey was just beginning.